When everything falls apart, you fall back into yourself. I recently had the honor of sitting down with Jaleaa Lewis, and let me tell you something. This woman is out here changing lives, shifting narratives, and reminding Black women everywhere that choosing yourself isn't selfish, it's sacred. Jalea's work is a love letter to every woman who's been told to be strong when she wanted to be soft, to keep going when she needed to rest, to smile through the storm when her soul was screaming for shelter. She's making the world better by giving us permission to break down so we can finally break through. And what she shared with me, it shook something loose in my chest. Because here's the thing, nobody tells you about rock bottom. They don't tell you that sometimes the floor you hit isn't concrete, it's a trampoline. They don't tell you that the life falling apart around you isn't destruction, it's demolition, controlled, necessary, divine. You know what I'm talking about. That moment when everything you built, everything you believed, everything you performed for just collapses, your identity gone, your finances shaky, your relationships unraveling like a cheap sweater, and you're standing there in the rubble thinking, this is it. I lost. But what if I told you that you didn't lose anything? What if I told you that you finally let go? Jaleaa Lewis taught me this. When her world came undone, when her daughter got sick from a vaccine and the system she trusted failed her, when her marriage crumbled, when her sense of self shattered, she didn't just survive it, she used it. She turned that breakdown into an awakening. She stopped asking, why is this happening to me? And started asking, what is this trying to teach me? And that's the shift because breakdowns, they're not punishments, they're invitations. Invitations to stop performing, to stop pretending, to stop carrying a cape you never asked for in the first place. Let me tell you about Monica Hill. Monica spent years in that pressure cooker we call success. She was hustling, grinding, checking every box, making everyone proud. And on paper, she was winning. But inside, she was dying, slowly, quietly. The kind of death nobody notices because you're still smiling at the meetings and showing up for the family and holding it all together with duct tape and sheer willpower until one day she couldn't anymore. And that's when the magic happened. Monica stopped running. She sat down in the mess and said, okay, let's look at this. She started reflecting, resting, setting boundaries, sharing her story. She stopped performing strength and started practicing softness. And you know what happened? She didn't fall apart. She fell together. She redefined what strength even meant. She realized that peace isn't what you get after you fix everything, it's what you choose while everything's still broken. Monica now inspires thousands of Black women through the soft girl era movement, showing them that softness isn't weak. It's the most powerful thing you can do. It's the most rebellious move in the game. Because in a world that demands you be a workhorse, choosing to be a whole human, that's revolution. And here's the kicker, you don't have to wait until you're healed to be happy. You don't have to wait until the bank account is full, the relationship is fixed, the trauma is processed, the weight is lost, the degree is earned. You can wake up happy right now. In the mess, in the middle, in the becoming. Jaleaa Lewis proved this when she packed up her life and moved to Ghana. Did she have it all figured out? Absolutely not. Her knees were shaking. Her bank account was skeptical. But her soul was screaming, go. And she listened. She leapt before clarity showed up with a roadmap and a guarantee. She leaped because she trusted that her peace was proof she was on the right path. And that's the thing about intuition, it doesn't wait for permission, it doesn't ask for a committee vote. It whispers, and if you're brave enough to listen, it will lead you home. Let me tell you about the 155,000 Black women who got laid off from public sector jobs in 2025. Nicola Tompkins shared this story, and it hit me like a freight train because these weren't just job losses, these were identity earthquakes. These were women who had plans, stability, security, and then gone. Just like that. But here's what happened next. These women didn't crumble, they pivoted. They started businesses, they launched construction companies, 20,000 jobs created, by the way. They turned grief into sovereignty, they turned loss into launch pads. They proved that when the system fails you, you don't have to fail yourself. You can build something new, something yours, something that doesn't require you to shrink or perform or apologize. And that's the energy we need to carry into our own lives. Because how many of us are waiting for the system to save us? How many of us are waiting for the job, the partner, the family, the church to give us permission to be free? How many of us are still performing for applause when our souls are begging for rest? Jaleaa Lewis stopped performing. She stopped waiting. She grabbed rosemary and thyme from her kitchen and healed her daughter when the doctors couldn't. She trusted her intuition over their authority. She chose her peace over their approval. And that's revolutionary. Michelle Bradley gets this too. Michelle works with Black women entrepreneurs who are burned out from the hustle. Women who've been taught that rest is lazy, that boundaries are rude, that softness is weakness. And Michelle says no. Your body has wisdom, your spirit has answers, and you don't have to wait until you're perfect to access joy. She teaches women to trust themselves, to ditch toxic positivity and embrace real alignment, to stop giving from an empty cup and start filling their own first. And the result? Women who lead with purpose, women who build legacies rooted in peace, not performance, women who prove that you can hold grief and joy in the same fierce body and still thrive. Because here's the truth: healing and happiness aren't destinations, they're companions. They walk with you, they sit with you in the mess, they don't wait for you to arrive. They show up now in the middle of the breakdown, in the middle of the awakening, in the middle of the becoming. And that's what Jaylee Lewis is teaching us, that choosing yourself isn't selfish, it's sacred. That disappointing the takers so you can honor your soul isn't mean, it's necessary. That leaping before you have all the answers isn't reckless, it's faith. You know what the problem is? We've been taught that we have to earn our peace, that we have to prove we're worthy of rest, that we have to wait until everything is fixed before we're allowed to be happy. And that's a lie, a big, fat, exhausting lie. Your peace isn't a reward for good behavior, it's your birthright. Your joy isn't something you chase, it's something you choose. Your softness isn't a luxury, it's a revolution. And I know what you're thinking, but I have responsibilities. I have people depending on me. I can't just drop everything and move to Ghana or start a business or set boundaries. I have bills, I have obligations, I have a reputation to maintain. And I hear you, I do. But let me ask you this: what's the cost of not choosing yourself? What's the cost of staying in survival mode for another year, another decade, another lifetime? What's the cost of performing strength when your soul is begging for softness? Because here's what I learned from Jaleaa Lewis: the cost of not choosing yourself, it is you, your health, your joy, your peace, your purpose, your life. And you're too valuable to keep paying that price. Monica Hill learned this the hard way. For years, she wore the mask. She showed up, she delivered, she made everyone else proud while quietly suffocating under the weight of expectations that were never hers to carry. She thought that if she just worked harder, if she just proved herself one more time, if she just held on a little longer, then maybe, just maybe, she'd finally feel whole. But wholeness doesn't come from external validation, it comes from internal alignment. And Monica didn't find that alignment until she stopped running from the breakdown and started running toward herself. She started asking the hard questions: who am I without the titles? Who am I without the approval? Who am I when I strip away everything I've been performing and just stand here raw and real and vulnerable. And what she found was this: she was enough. She had always been enough. The performance was never necessary. The hustle was never the point. The point was to come home to herself, to honor her own needs, to protect her own peace, to choose her own joy. And when she did that, everything changed. Not because her circumstances magically fixed themselves, but because she stopped waiting for her circumstances to give her permission to be happy. She gave herself that permission. And that's the power move. Nicola Tompkins saw this power move play out on a massive scale. When those 155,000 Black women lost their jobs, they could have crumbled, they could have given up, they could have believed the lie that their worth was tied to their employment status, but they didn't. They refused. Instead, they looked at the rubble and said, okay, what can I build with this? They took their skills, their experience, their resilience, and they built something new. They created 76,000 new opportunities. They launched businesses. They started construction companies. They proved that when the system fails you, you don't have to fail yourself. And that's the lesson. That's the awakening. When everything falls apart, you don't fall apart with it. You fall back into yourself. You remember who you are. You remember what you're capable of. You remember that your worth isn't tied to what you produce or who approves of you or how well you perform. Your worth is inherent, it's unshakable, it's yours. Michelle Bradley teaches this every single day. She works with Black women entrepreneurs who are running on empty, who are giving and giving and giving until there's nothing left. And she tells them, stop, just stop. Your body is trying to tell you something. Your spirit is trying to guide you. And if you keep ignoring those whispers, they're going to turn into screams. She teaches women to trust their intuition, to listen to their bodies, to honor their needs without guilt or apology. And when they do that, when they finally stop performing and start being, something miraculous happens. They don't just survive, they thrive, they build legacies, they lead with purpose. They prove that you can be soft and powerful at the same time. Because softness isn't weakness. Softness is strength that doesn't need to prove itself. Softness is power that doesn't need to perform. Softness is the quiet confidence that says, I know who I am and I don't need your approval to be it. Jaleaa Lewis embodies this. When she chose to heal her daughter with rosemary and thyme, she wasn't just rejecting the medical system that failed her. She was reclaiming her power. She was trusting herself. She was saying, I know what my daughter needs, and I'm going to honor that knowing, even if it goes against everything I've been taught. And that's the revolution. That's the awakening. That's the moment when you stop looking outside yourself for answers and start trusting the wisdom that's been inside you all along. Because here's the truth: you already know what you need, you already know what's not working, you already know what boundaries you need to set, what relationships you need to release, what dreams you need to chase. You already know. The only thing standing between you and your freedom is your willingness to trust yourself enough to act on that knowing. So here's my challenge to you. This week, I want you to take the Wake Up Happy Challenge. I want you to name one thing you're shedding, one boundary you're setting, one gut whisper you're trusting, one affirmation you're speaking over yourself. Maybe it's saying, saying no to that extra project at work. Maybe it's trusting your intuition about that relationship. Maybe it's trying that herbal remedy instead of just accepting what the doctor says. Maybe it's affirming my peace proves I'm right. Do it messy, do it scared, do it with shaking knees and a racing heart. Because clarity doesn't come before the leap, clarity chases you after you jump. And I know it's scary. I know it feels selfish. I know it feels like you're letting people down, but you've been letting yourself down for years. And it's time to stop, because the world doesn't need Another exhausted Black woman performing strength she doesn't feel. The world needs you. Whole, rested, soft, aligned, happy. Your breakdown isn't your ending, it's your awakening. Your life falling apart isn't loss, it's liberation. And choosing yourself isn't selfish, it's the most sacred thing you'll ever do. So I'm asking you right now in this moment to make a choice. Are you going to keep performing or are you going to start being? Are you going to keep waiting for permission? Or are you going to give it to yourself? Are you going to keep carrying that cape? Or are you going to finally put it down? Because your soul has been waiting for you to choose. Your peace has been waiting for you to claim it. Your joy has been waiting for you to stop postponing it. Wake up happy, not when everything's fixed, not when you've earned it, not when you're perfect. Right now, in the mess, in the middle, in the beautiful, chaotic grief and joy filled becoming, because you deserve it. And it's time you finally believe that.